Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm going to get tongue-tied here. I started my spiritual journey in Sydney. We saw the other night, we saw Jaidama, and my husband, Sanak, Jaidama, Dwapayana, and Chitahari, we all went to school together. So we all joined. We were hippies living in Sydney, and we heard about the temple. We heard about, my husband came home with Jaidama and said, we've just seen the most amazing guy. And I think it was Lord Jagannath that they'd seen. So Apendra was going to Melbourne, so we were going to Melbourne, and we ended up going to the temple. We were living at Jaidama's grandmother's place out in a farm out of Melbourne, and we were hippies, so we were into LSD and we were into expanded consciousness. But as soon as we got the Hare Krishna mantra, within 7 days, we made our own beads. We started chanting, and within 7 days, we just gave the whole thing up. It was, as soon as we got the mantra, that was it. So we started going to the temple in Carlton, and then they got us, we had the most amazing meal. It was Apendra that was cooking, and he made a rice, eggplant, tomato, halva, and Simply Wonderfuls. And those Simply Wonderfuls were what changed our life, because we were macrobiotics. We used to eat brown rice, chew brown rice 50 times, and the sweetest thing we had was an orange. So when we actually started eating prasadam, it was like our whole life changed. Those Simply Wonderfuls changed our life. We joined because of them. So we all wanted to join, and there was 4 boys and 3 girls. So then they had to get a bigger temple. So we got the temple in Burnett Street, and everyone, we had 20 brahmacharis in one room and 7 brahmacharis in the other room, plus my son. He was only 2. And so all of a sudden we went from hippies to being Haris overnight. You know, we were up all night, you know, when we were hippies, and then all of a sudden we're up at 4 o'clock in the morning having cold showers and chanting Hare Krishna, and then going into the city streets in Melbourne. So we were the first devotees there in Melbourne. They'd never seen devotees before. So we were, we were always chanting in the city square. There was quite a few of us. And gradually we were getting purified and more purified. And so we joined the temple. Then it started to get serious. And so the parking inspectors then were on us, So we were chased a lot of the time. It wasn't sit down Harinam. It was run through the city streets Harinam, being chased by the parking inspectors, So it was really quite wild. And there was, I think Korma had a really funny cartoon in his book. It was the Hare Krishna van was there, plastered in stickers, parking fines. And these 2 businessmen were going with their top hats on and their briefcases. They said, it looks like the Hare Krishnas are in a bit of trouble again, and we were always in trouble. So, we actually moved into the temple. I was actually had my baby daughter was born in Melbourne Temple, upstairs from Radha Vallabha. She was bathed and she came into the world at 3:50 in the morning, and the girls bathed her and dressed her and took her down to offer her to Radha Vallabha at Mangalati. So that was a very auspicious entrance. Then my husband was made temple president, and we were just hippies, so it was quite amazing experience. But then we were planning the Rath Yatra, and there was a fire in Melbourne. They were building the Rath Yatra cart in Carlton, and the girls, Vaibhavi, and some of the girls were making all the canopies for the chariot. And this fire happened in a 3-story building, and the devotees had to come out. They were jumping out of windows, so the devotees had to come out with the canopy, Lord Jagannath's canopy, and catch them as they were falling. And there was a pregnant lady there that was jumping as well. So it actually reminded me of Keshava Swami when he was here. He told a story about fame and respect. And it was about a military camp, and it was a 3-story building, and they had to jump out of that building as well. And as they were all coming down, they were catching them, and all the soldiers were coming down. But then, the generals started to come down. And, of course, what do you think they did? When they're holding the canopy to catch him, they all saluted. So, the general went splat. And, Keshava Maharaj, his moral was fame and respect will kill you. So it actually did. And so that was very successful. That was the first Rath Yatra, I think, in Melbourne. And we got married in the city square. We had a fire yagya, and 2 couples got married, Sanak and myself, and Shamananda and Mekhala. And that was, they'd never seen anything like this at fire yoga in the middle of the city square in Melbourne. So, and I think there was a Russian devotee that defected. He was a ballet dancer and he defected. So Madhavisa was our Swami in those days. And that's Melbourne. But then again, Prabhupada came to Glebe in Sydney, and it was different there. We kind of went in the double-decker bus. We went and picked up people down at the Domain, and we'd bring them all back to the temple. I think Jagatrini was at that place as well. I think Prabhupada said to her, Krishna has saved you from so much nonsense. But I managed to get Prabhupada's blankets and his pillowcases and his sheets. I've still got the blanket. But I had a dream about him. He was coming back, and we all dived at his feet. And that night I had the dream of the same as Lord Brahma bowing to Krishna. He was going down and coming up and in ecstasy. And that was my really nice experience with Srila Prabhupada. But apart from that, he was quite fearsome, because he was like, now you always see him, he's smiling. But in those days, he wasn't always smiling. Hare Krishna, Hare Govinda. And I had to go into his room and I had to ask him the name of my son. He was 2 years old. And I was already pregnant with my daughter Bhakti. And I had an orange sari on, I remember, and I felt like a great big balloon. It was so awkward to go in and give my obeisances and ask him the name for my son. And I couldn't hear him, and we ended up calling him Toran, but I think it was supposed to be Tarun. So, yes, and I feel like my thing that I love about Prabhupada is that his mission is to start a revolution in the consciousness of human society. So that's the thing. Back in those days, that wasn't, because I had to go through a lot of psychological stuff. I was in the temple for 3 years. I left for 20 years, but I never gave up chanting, which was my blessing. I chanted through thick and thin, literally, and then came back about 30 years ago into Bayswater. And then it was so nice, to get the prasadam again. And it actually changed my life, actually. I was really grateful, the rice-style chapatis and pickles. And, it was like coming out of a psychological maze back into association with devotees. So never let go of the Hare Krishna mantra, I think, is the moral of that story. And so we've just been giving out Prabhupada's books ever since, just because that's what he wants to do. He wants to change the consciousness of everyone. And that's the way to do it. We've got to read, chant, and be happy. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother Cekitana. Thank you very much. Right. Thank you, Mother. Always chant. Never give up chanting. Right. That's the specialty of Mother Cekitana. Whenever I see her, her mouth kept moving. Whether she's doing this, doing that, doesn't matter. Not necessarily with chanting beat. Obviously, she chants on the chanting beat, but wherever you are, you see her, her mouth is moving. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wonderful. Now, thank you very much, Mother. Thank you for your sharing your pastime with Srila Prabhupada.